This is Beauty Wisdom: how to stop self sabotage, build confidence, and create the life you want. I am your host, Holly Balicki. This is Beauty Transformation. Today, my guest speaker is Dr. Laara Van Bryce. I'm so excited to bring her on aboard. Welcome, Dr. Laara.
Thank you, Holly, so much. I'm very excited to be here. I love doing these things.
Absolutely. So I would love for you to dive into your background and how you love supporting people and getting them back into balance.
Great. Well, first off, I just want to say I've been a chiropractor for 40 years. So, I started off doing that. But at some point, about 28 years ago, I had a bad auto accident. And so it kicked me out of practice for a few years. But I also noticed that I just kept going downhill and I was getting more and more fatigued and more pain. And so I was just having these issues, and I couldn't figure out how to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did go to a nutrition seminar, and they talked about detoxification, and it made sense to me. So I purchased their detoxification. It was a whole food canister, but meant toward detoxification. And I took it for a month, and it really worked well for me. So it really turned my life around and started giving me the energy to start healing. So that kind of sent me down the path of realizing that nutritional supplements can make a huge difference, and detoxing your liver and your colon and, that kind of thing made a huge difference for me. So that's how I ended up going down that path. Yeah.
So when it comes to detoxification, we hear about that, but not everybody does. And so how did that support you with your auto accidents, and what do you think happened
So
from
I think
course?
I think the trauma of it, both the physical trauma, the emotional trauma, they actually shut your system down. You go into a bit of shock, right? And as your system shuts down, so do your organs. So your adrenals get, very challenged. Your thyroid gets very challenged. Your thyroid controls your metabolism, so then things start to slow down, so then you don't digest your food as well, your liver doesn't detoxify as well, maybe your kidneys aren't working. Everything kind of works together, right? You start to get brain fog or difficulty with your memory, your emotions get challenged. So I think just the trauma of that kind of thing starts to shut things down. And obviously when that happens, then, you're more prone to toxins, you're more prone to infections, and you're more prone to depression. So it impacts you on a lot of different levels. So that's how I think it really, starts to impact you. And then it's like a set of dominoes, right? You hit one and then everything starts to fall.
Yeah.
So then you really need to figure out, what's the kingpin? How do you start to pull things back together? And sometimes it's not just one thing, it's a number of different things. I think, in my healing process, I did, I started adding in, nutritional supplements as simple as like calcium and magnesium, for instance, but also doing the detoxification protocol. And I also started working on emotional stuff, going to weekend seminars where we would work on our origin of family origin issues. I was working on that. I went to yoga. That really helped too. I did a work hardening program also, where you go to physical therapy and they have you do the bike for a while, and then you lift weights and you go back and do the bike. And I did that for a month every day, and that actually helped. But then when I stopped it stopped. It wasn't working anymore, and I discovered I wasn't really doing the stretching. So going to yoga class made a huge difference.
Talking about
So I
self-sabotage.
think that Yeah, self-sabotage, totally. But I think yoga is not just, the physical, it's the mind, body, spiritual thing that it does for you. And it stimulates your acupuncture points. And, I think it's great.
Mhm.
So I think you have to look at all sort of different aspects of how to go about healing your life and stop sabotaging yourself, right?
So, what are ways that you see that people sabotage themselves and they might not even be aware that they're doing it? For somebody that's listening to this, they're like, "Oh, I don't do that," and we all do, right? But we don't recognize what those signs are. Could you share?
Sure. Well, I think, we all really need to pay attention to our food and our diet. And I think that it's become more and more difficult because our food supply is basically being poisoned, as is our water. And so I, I think that starting there is a really good, important place. I think also that people, they get on the latest bandwagon of what is the best diet out there, and it may not be the best diet for them. And we're also genetically different, so it's really a matter of exploring what works best for us. I think there are a couple little cheating things to do. I call them cheating things. They're not cheating things, but there's some questionnaires online. I think it's called metabolictyping.com, where you can go on and take an online test. It costs about $50, and it will tell you kind of genetically what is your makeup and what are the best foods for you to eat. So I think starting with that, or there's some other DNA tests where you swab the inside of your cheek and it'll tell you genetically, what kind of body type you are. So it'll tell you what foods you should eat, what kind of exercise you should do, because not all exercise is the right exercise for everybody.
Yeah.
Um,
So, real quick question: is that anything like the blood type diet?
the eat right for your type.
Yes. Yes.
It's more specific.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it starts to, yes, it absolutely starts to go down that path. I just think we've progressed,
Sure.
in,
Sure.
in our scientific research, beyond that too.
Okay.
Um, so let's see. So I think starting with our diet, making sure that we're consuming good, clean water. We have to purify our water. I think these days, I don't think tap water is going to do it for us anymore. There's too many chemicals in it and medications and all sorts of stuff that we don't really want.
Right. What's the best type of water to drink? There's spring water, there's distilled, reverse osmosis. Do you have a preference?
Um, well, I have a preference for me. Now,
Mm,
since we're genetically different, I'm not sure what is the best for other people.
okay.
Um, um, I have let's living well, I think it's called.
Okay.
It alkalinizes and ionizes your water. It's like Kangen, except that ahead of it, I have a multi-pure filter, which pulls out toxins first. So
Okay.
first you pull out the toxins, and it's not pulling out all the minerals. It's pulling out toxins, and then you alkalize it and ionize it. And I remember about 5 years ago when I first installed that, I I was drinking bottled water, and I still always felt thirsty. And it's like, this doesn't make sense. I'm drinking water. Why do I feel thirsty? And then when I started drinking that water, I stopped feeling thirsty. So it must somehow get it into your cells better.
Sure, sure. That makes
I
sense.
get,
Yeah,
that's what they say.
yeah.
So
And
I do find that makes a difference. I
alkaline
have
water tastes really good too. I'm just
Uh-huh.
so good.
So, I've heard, that it may not even be the fact that it's alkaline. It may be that it's hydrogenated, not hydrogenated. It has hydrogen ions in it.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm not sure. I just know based on my results that worked better for me than drinking the little bottles of water, right? I did somewhat recently purchase a a less expensive reverse osmosis machine that I had seen on some other podcast or whatever. And I found I didn't like it.
Oh, interesting.
And so I don't know, maybe I needed to add some sea salt to it or something, re-add some of the minerals back in. But it wasn't my favorite, and I was just testing it out. So I didn't really keep exploring it too much. Let's see. I don't think distilled water long-term is a good idea. I think if you're doing a detox and you're trying to pull some stuff out, I have, recommended to patients for a week or 2 to maybe 3, drink distilled water while you're pulling toxins out, but not long term. Yeah, I think that's, nothing else is coming to my mind at the moment.
Okay.
I guess that if I was going to the store and I had to buy bottled water, I'd probably buy spring water.
Okay, that's good to know for somebody that's into this. Yeah, it can be confusing for somebody that, they, I know I'm supposed to take supplements. I know I'm supposed to eat clean. And then they go into overwhelm, and then they self-sabotage themselves because they're just spiraling. So for somebody that's listening, I don't know if they travel a lot or whatever that story is, how do I go into a store and what do I purchase? So it'd be spring water.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So also too, back to food, clean eating. Now I tell people, obviously do the best that they can do, but to shop on the outside of the perimeter of the store. What approach do you use when you're talking with people?
Very similar, for sure. And also obviously try to buy as organic as possible. Right. I know that it's probably, the organic food is probably not quite as good as we'd like it to be, but it's better, I think. They have the clean 15 and the dirty dozen. You've seen those.
Yes.
I don't know if that's the Environmental Working Group.
Yes.
EWG.org.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're a good website to go check out and see. So, like they say certain foods maybe you wouldn't absolutely need to buy organic. I'm thinking of like bananas maybe, because they have a skin on them. You're not eating the skin, right? But the closer to what you're eating, you want it to be organic.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like a peach or a strawberry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let's talk about digestive and constipation. They go together. And a lot of times when we don't detox, you had mentioned you were detoxing your emotions. They weren't your exact words, but you said detox and just going through emotions and the physical. A lot of times I find that people have digestive problems and they can't poop. And I know about that because I used to be one of those people. Could you dive into that?
Sure. So I think a lot of people, maybe even the majority of people, have some level of digestive issues, especially as we get older. So, we're not producing as much hydrochloric acid in our stomach, which helps digest our proteins and some other foods, but so we're not digesting as well. We don't produce as many enzymes from our pancreas and some of the other organs down there. So as we don't digest as well, then we're going to feed the bad bacteria, not the good bacteria in our gut. And that in itself creates toxins and problems and can certainly make us more constipated. I know, like, for instance, if I eat a bunch of bread, it's going to constipate me more, right? You kind of have to also figure out what foods tend to aggravate your system, but just keep in mind that constipation is going to create toxins, which is going to create health challenges for you. right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you're holding on to toxins, and when things sit in the colon, they get reabsorbed back into your system.
Mhm.
So that's can be a major issue.
Mhm.
Also, as we have health challenges, for instance, I was talking about, like the auto accident and how it can impact your thyroid, for instance, right? And which is your metabolism. Well, when a thyroid slows down, you actually get constipated. That's one of the symptoms
I didn't know that.
of thyroid. Yeah. So, anyway, I if I get real constipated, well, let's see. I have different herbs or stuff that I take, but if I start to feel really toxic, I
Mhm.
do a coffee enema.
I have never done that. I know about it. I get colonics on a regular basis. I know some people foo-foo that. I like that. It's great for maintenance. Can you talk a little bit about coffee enemas?
Sure. So coffee enemas, um, they are meant to stimulate your liver. So the coffee gets absorbed through the portal vein and it goes directly to your liver and it stimulates it. It creates glutathione, which is one of the substances in our body that gives us the energy to make ATP. So it gives us more energy to do the detox. And it causes the gallbladder to dump,
Mm.
which is where we're storing bile. And bile has a lot of, it's one of the places that we store toxins. So it helps to get the gallbladder to dump and get rid of toxins. And then it causes the liver to produce more bile to refill it. So it's like the self-cleaning system.
Mm.
Um, so um, anyway, when I do, like specific detoxes, like I'm using a product and I may use a product, for instance, to kill off parasites or, you know, or kill off a dysbiosis or bad, improper flora and bacteria inside of our gut. So
Mhm.
if I'm killing off the bad bugs, um, I'll do a coffee enema because it helps get all the toxins out so that you don't start reabsorbing the toxins.
Mm.
Um,
And how often is that something that you do?
um, well, it depends on the cleanse.
Okay.
Um, I use one cleanse, which is like a 7-day or a 14-day cleanse,
Mm.
and it's from Simply Young. I've used that one, and in it they give you the coffee enema. I mean, so it's a powder that you mix up to put in your little enema bucket. They give you the bucket too, and
Nice.
you can do that uh, almost every day or a couple times a week or whatever. I mean, I don't want you to do this for the rest of your life. It's like, it's a short burst and then you stop, right?
Ah, yeah, yeah.
But I have to say with that particular cleanse that, you know, midway through it, I had the most energy I've had in a long time. Like I came home and I said to my boyfriend at the time, we got to go out for a walk, or I went the next night and went and played tennis after work. So,
Wow.
I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Huh.
So, so like I said, you could, for a short time, you can do it daily. You could do it 2 or 3 times a week, whatever kind of works into your system and how you feel. And it's going to take you, a good half an hour or hour, probably half an hour, I figure, to really do a good job with it. You got to
And
make sure you've got the time.
when is the best time? Morning, I would assume,
I
since,
do it. Yeah, I do it in the morning when I wake up,
okay, it's saying
before
high
I eat
energy.
anything.
You probably don't want to do it at night when you want to go to sleep because otherwise you'll be woo.
Right. I have made that mistake. Had a hard time getting to sleep.
Wow.
So I'm totally with you there.
My
Yeah.
husband was watching something. I just thought of this now. He was watching a show a couple of months ago, things that people were addicted to. And there was a husband and a wife, and apparently they were obsessed with their coffee enemas. I don't know if you've ever seen this. And this had been going on for, I want to say it was a couple of years. So, yeah, it was destroying their lives. Kind of interesting. That's all I knew. I was like, what are you watching? So I was
Wow.
like, okay, I'm listening to you. It's short term. This doesn't go on for a few years. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. No, so for instance, if I feel like I'm coming down sick, like for a cold or a flu or something like that,
Hmm.
I have a I have a parasite cleanse that I have, and I'll take a little scoop of it and drink it down, and then when I wake up in the morning, I'll do the coffee enema, and
Oh,
it really has helped me not come down with a number of different colds or flu
mm,
or whatever. And I may do that a couple days in a row, or I may only need to do it once.
mm.
Um, but I have noticed a huge difference with that. And yeah,
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I mean, we want to take care of ourselves and we don't have the tools. And that's why I love doing these interview series because I want to give people tools that they wouldn't otherwise necessarily get. And they don't know what to ask for unless if they hear about something and then they can dive into that. So I understand, Dr. Laura, you're going to be offering a free gift about thyroid health. Can you talk a little bit about that?
sure. So I think it kind of makes sense for me to talk about thyroid health because I'm talking a lot about detoxification, and the thyroid controls our metabolism, which allows our body to detoxify or causes us not to detoxify if it's not working properly. So in my free gift, I have uh, the a list of blood tests that you want to do. Like typically, your doctor may do a full blood panel, but only test like TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Um, but you really need for a thyroid panel to understand what's going on. You're going to need T3 and T4 and free 3T and free T4 and test the antibodies and the T3 uptake. So, along with the thyroid stimulating hormone. So, there's a full panel there. But I also say that in this free gift that the thyroid isn't usually the underlying cause of our health issue. It's actually a symptom that says something is going awry beneath it. And there could be any number of things. So if we find that there's challenges there, we're going to also test things like your lipid panel. We would test your CBC, which is going to test for infections, underlying infections, or anemia, or things like that. We, your hemoglobin A1C is going to test for your blood sugar balance. So the blood sugar balance can be really important in our health too and impact us there. We'll also look at, let's see, your hormones. There's different other different tests. Some of them are going to be blood, some of them are urine or hair analysis. Hair analysis is going to be looking for heavy metal toxicity. Maybe you had these mercury, silver fillings, and that's impacting you negatively, or maybe you were impacted. Lead gets passed from mother to baby, so you might have lead challenging you in there. Um, let's see what else. There's toxins from just our water supply, like the fluoride that they put in or the chlorine. Those can impact us negatively. And the other thing, which I didn't mention, is testing for food sensitivity. So there's different blood tests that actually test for food sensitivities. So even when you are, finding the right diet genetically for you, you still may have some food sensitivities that you need to pull some of those foods out. But also on my free gift, it gives you 40 different symptoms of, thyroid challenges.
Wow.
So it's quite complete. And you can, read through it and see, how many do you have? Is there a likelihood that you might be having an underlying condition that would lead you down the path to finding further, health challenges, and just how to get better. It begins to give you some kind of roadmap, which I think we all need.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because,
Yeah. So where can people find you to get more information?
My website, drlauravanbryce.com. That's LaaraVanBryce.com. And I guess that's the best way. On my website, you'll find ways to contact me.
Okay.
For sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And you're on Facebook as well.
Yes, I am, but I have to say that I don't. I'm not good yet with going to Facebook every day. So yes, you can message me or put something on Facebook.
Okay.
Hopefully, I'll see it.
So the best way to find you is actually going to your website.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you here. There's so much information, and I know that there are people that are going to want to go ahead and dive into your webpage, and there's all sorts of tools and blogs on there, and I know that they're going to get a lot of value out of that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Holly. It's been wonderful hanging out and talking.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. All right.
Take care.